Hello, it's Sonia here, The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today is Tuesday, and that means it's Tunisian Tuesday, where we feature either a Tunisian crochet stitch pattern or technique or a project. And today, as you can see, we have a combination of things going on here. We have knitting needles, some double points, and we have a crochet hook, and a crochet hook that's normally not used in Tunisian crochet. So a couple weeks ago I did a video comparing the Tunisian knit stitch versus the regular stockinette knit stitch in knitting. So I thought today we would do another video comparing Tunisian purl stitch and regular purl stitch in knitting. So I made two swatches, and my first swatch, I actually used this hook because I only did it with 10 stitches and 10 rows, and I think that's what I did before with the knit samples as well. It was 10 stitches and 10 rows. So I used this hook, and this is a G or 4.25 millimeter hook. And then for the Tunisian, or for the knit sample, I did 10 rows and 10 stitches again, and I used these needles. And as you can see, they're very similar in size. So, and I also used these yarns. So let me get these guys out of the way here. So these are the yarns that I used, and these are both the same yarn type, just different colors. So this is Paintbox DK. This is Paintbox DK, the pink, and this is also Paintbox DK, the green. So let's take a look at these samples. So this is the knit. So this is actually called garter stitch. So it's purl stitches on every row, and the purls are like these little nubs here. And the fabric is fairly flexible. It's like a nice squishy stitch. And again, it's 10 stitches across and 10 rows. So let's take a look at the Tunisian one. So here we go. Obviously we can definitely tell a difference already. I believe it is, well, the width is similar, but the rows, these are a lot more compact than these rows here. So again, I worked 10 stitches across and I worked 10 rows. So this is the front side, and here are the little purls, and then this is the wrong side. So definitely you can see a difference right away, where this is pretty reversible here. Both sides look the same, where there's definitely a difference in the side. So let's see how the fabric is. And it's doesn't have as much give, where this guy is definitely stretchier. Not quite as stretchy as a ribbing. It also stretches nicely this way too, but definitely a more flexible fabric. Then this one has this way. It's a lot more structure to it. So I'm not saying that one is better than the other, because there's always these knitting and crocheting wars going on that, you know, knitters are like, crochet is terrible, and crocheters are like, knit is terrible. And that is certainly not the case. Or they might even say, oh, Tunisian crochet is inferior to regular knitting, and you know, it's all silly, I think. I think each craft has its own merit, and they're both fantastic. I think it should just be more of what you want to make and what you want that finished project to be. So if you wanted to have something that was a little bit more flexible, a little bit gushier, then maybe doing knitting and garter stitch might be the way to go. Or if you want to have something that has a little bit more structure, doesn't have as much, you don't want it to stretch out that much, then you might want to try, Tunisian crochet instead. So another thing that I like to do is to see how much yarn each stitch uses. And obviously you can tell right off the bat, the knitted one is definitely going to use a little bit less yarn, but let's see how much less yarn it uses. So I am going to, what I usually do is I just create like a little knot here, and then I measure from the knot as I unravel it. So it's just slightly more, so like we'll just knot it about there, and we'll do that on this one so that I have a spot to start measuring. It just makes it a little easier for me. But I just think this is interesting and fun to see, you know, exactly how much more yarn Tunisian crochet uses or less yarn, because a lot of people, like I said, there's the knitting and crocheting wars, which I do think are silly. Like, I think that this would be a great stitch. Let's say you wanted to make something really cozy and warm, or like, let's say a jacket. If you wanted to make like a, you know, a crochet jacket, this might really be a great stitch, because sometimes you know, you want your jacket to be have a little bit more structure to it. But let's say you really wanted to make a nice squishy, cozy cardigan, then you might want to go with the garter stitch here. Or let's say you were making a sweater and you wanted that sweater to be like really fitted, then this might be a better stitch. But if it's really fitted, then you might want to have a little flexibility, because you do, you know, if it's a garment, you want to be able to move in it. So again, you might want to, you know, use knit instead. So literally, the key is with this kind of stuff is to think about what you're making. Think about how you want your project to be. So, and that can help you determine, you know, which type of stitch or what type of craft would be better for that particular project. So let me go off camera here, and I'm going to measure, and I will let you know how much yarn, 10 stitches across and 10 rows for Tunisian crochet, and the same with knitting. So I will be right back. Okay, so I am back with my findings. So for my knit sample, it used just a hair under 3 yards. So it was definitely over 2.5, but slightly under 3 for the knit sample. But for the Tunisian crochet sample, it was slightly over 5 yards. So just definitely not close to 5.5, but just slightly over 5 yards. So for the Tunisian sample, you know, it definitely used 2 extra yards compared to the knit sample. But as I said before, they're, you know, one is not better than the other. It just literally depends on what you're making and, you know, how you want it to look. And what can also factor in with that is the size of hook or needle that you're using, the type of yarn. But I really wanted a close comparison because, as I said before, I really tried to pick a hook that was similar size to my needles to really get a more accurate representation of literally how much yardage and how, you know, they would compare with each other. But I hope that you found this video interesting and maybe you learned something today. And if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.